The wealth of black people in America and the gap between other racial groups has been well documented. Shoot, you could even see it by just looking in our neighborhoods. But that doesn't mean that black folks don't have any money to spend. Quite the contrary. You know, you would think that we're just completely financially struggling, but it's quite different if you actually do the research and think about it. So even though the racial wealth gap is actually widening year by year, you know, we're trying to wonder what exactly going on. Black people can actually spend with the best of them. That's what the statistics show. That's what Nelson backs up. So with over nearly 50 million black people in the United States, I bet you'd be amazed by how much black consumers spend on an annual basis. Well, that number is black consumers spend nearly $1 trillion a year. And that's something that we need to talk about as a people, as a whole. So make sure you stay for the whole video, jump in the chats, subscribe, and let's get into this conversation. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the video. Family. It's your guy, Tuned In Tony, and today we are talking about the $1 trillion
money on my chain. I mean, the money hang with me.
Black dollar.
$1.2 trillion. Now that's enough money to make even Wall Street tremble.
The spending power in the black community, you know, why is it such a big number, but it seems like there's such a big gap that's going on? What are the factors that affect, you know, the black dollar not being circulated properly?
You have a Chanel bag, you have a Gucci bag, but what's in it?
In our community, we're gonna talk about all of that. So before we get started, you know what I always ask you guys to do. Make sure you like, subscribe, you know, even share the video if you can. It's definitely gonna help the algorithm, help this get out, you know, to the people, help it get seen more. So what we're gonna talk about today when it involves the black dollar, it involves our society, what's going on in our culture as African Americans. We're gonna talk about money circulation, one. We're also gonna talk about buying power and what is the difference between money circulation and buying power. How does that stack up against each other? We're gonna talk about some solutions of how we can, you know, possibly make immediate change in our society when it comes to the circulation of that black dollar. And then we're gonna talk about major impactful solutions that need to be taken that are a little bit beyond just a normal consumer base. And we're just gonna talk about all that in the video. So first, let's just talk about one, just the black dollar and the buying power. So we've already discovered that the black dollar is $1 trillion per year.
Money on my head, that means money on my mind.
You know, mainly being spent on
trousers, Tom Ford, a rack.
I be walking around 600-700 on my neck.
Feel that?
a lot of outside stuff, I would say, and that's probably the sad fact, just due to financial illiteracy that's happened in our culture. But you know, black people like to be fly. Black people like to spend money on things that doesn't really bring, you know, returns passively or generationally. We like to buy clothes, cars. We like to show that we've arrived. That's one of the biggest things that it said the black dollar is spent on. One of the videos that we're going to touch on soon is the selling of a Negro.
Hello, I'm Bob Trout. I've got a story here that I think is big, really big. To get the story of this market, to be able to tell you the secret of selling the Negro, we did a lot of digging.
You guys want to catch that YouTube video. It's literally talking about how the black people, how us as African Americans spend our money, and how we're seen as a target or resource by white America to be used to help them fund what they got going on because they know that we'll spend money.
The surprising thing is that it's a fresh market, still full of opportunities.
So let's talk about all of that in the video. Let's light the chat comment up and the comments all together to create this conversation. So money circulation, guys, is the currency that is physically used to conduct transactions between consumers and businesses, plus the money that is stored in banking institutions. What's a major thing that black people don't own? Banking institutions. So we're going to talk about that later as well. So money circulation is critical. It's critical to a community's potential for economic mobility. So if we think about what we're going through right now with the pandemic, with the way the economy was, I remember when I was a kid and I would hear my parents talk about how great the economy was or how the economy was doing, and I didn't really understand it. But black, white, Asian, whatever you are, we're seeing that due to the pandemic, our economy is all over the place. Gas prices are up.
Inflation overall is at the highest level in 3 decades.
Everything, inflation, shortage of labor, all the prices go up. So if you can see how when money doesn't flow through an economy, how it breaks down an economy, it's a domino effect. Take that, something that we can all relate to, and apply that to Black America. So when you think about the black dollar not circulating through our community, that's what happens. So looking at the example of our economy right now put that during hundreds of years of Black America, of our dollar not circulating. The black dollar on an hourly basis is only circulated for 6 hours in a community. Once we get it, that pretty much means it's spent with another community. Whew. Gone. Then you've got the Jewish community where that dollar at least stays in their community for 30 hours. And then with the highest circulation of a race is the Asian community, with their dollar staying within their community for a whole 60 hours before it's thrown out into another community. So with us only being at 3 hours, you can see that we're really not spending any money with our own people.
The differences are mind-boggling.
That leaves us to, not be able to have the economic resources to grow Black businesses in the way that they need to be grown. So when you wonder why does Amazon ship out this fast, but this Black business doesn't? Why did this Black business not have what Target and all of them have? Well, it's just because the economic infrastructure isn't completely there for Black businesses, because the dollar's not circulating enough to create those Black businesses to be on the levels that they need to be at. And I'm not saying, for the people that want to jump in the comments and say, my mom has a great business, I got a great business, all kudos to you, but I'm talking about on a masses right now, just an issue with the amount of money the black dollar has, the buying power the black dollar has, but the decirculation, not enough circulation within our community. So let's talk about the difference between buying power and money circulation. So although that black people have more buying power than ever before,
It usually be a honey bun, but I've been spinning.
Black economic prosperity is very limited. So buying power, or the amount of income that someone has to spend, does not equal economic growth, y'all. So blacks have nearly $1 trillion in gross national income, more than just some like third world countries actually have, but only 2% of that money is circulated back into our community. Let's talk about the importance of supporting black businesses.
The solution to economic justice lies within your free will to buy products from Black-owned businesses.
Not just my business, Historically Black, as you guys can check that out, Historically Black Apparel, but supporting all black businesses. And I know that I've touched on a video about how hard it is for some people to support black businesses, but it's extremely important for step one for us to get our black dollar to circulate even more by supporting black businesses, and not doing it as a charity, but doing it as a habit, doing it as something that we first think of. And before I get to my next lesson, I want to go way back. So I've heard some conspiracy people say that like segregation was one of the worst things that happened to black America. Why? The reason why some people say that is because they felt like before we had segregation and we could only shop with black store owners, black businesses, and we were segregated and we couldn't go and shop with, the Targets and the whatever of that time. You had to shop at the black-owned shoe shine. You had to shop at Mama's Kitchen place to get your food. You had to go to the lounge, the nightclub that was owned by a black brother or sister, right? So those businesses back then in the black community were thriving because they had no choice but to thrive, because the only way that we could do things was by, purchasing from black businesses. But once segregation was allowed and it was gone and we could do everything, everybody stopped going to Harold's Chicken. All the black people stopped going to Susie's dry cleaners. They wanted to go to the white club. They wanted to go shop at the white businesses.
All over the country, families such as this are enjoying new prosperity. They have new interests, new standards of living, a buying power they've never enjoyed before.
Yeah.
And what did that initially do? It made black businesses at that time go out of business because they had no customers. So I was doing research and I was figuring out what is the main reason for the decline of black businesses.
Because of the lack of support from the black consumer.
Why is that? The decline of that is simply due to lack of customers. A business has to have customers in order to stay alive, in order to profit, right? But it said researchers, not even black researchers, Nielsen, their research team figured out that the reason why black businesses were losing customers, not having customers, was just due to the way that blacks felt about other blacks. The inferiority of how blacks felt towards black black businesses. You know, we always say, that's why I don't shop with black businesses. That's why I don't do this with black businesses. That actually is a trait that came through the slave and segregation days that's still present in our culture today, which is a big issue of what we're going through. So one of the solutions to fix this is what we talked about, is supporting black businesses, reinvesting into black businesses. Even better solution though, what I think, is black people starting their own businesses. Because yes, you can spend money with black businesses. The more black businesses we create, the more that we have to pass on to family members, to kids, to create generational wealth. Because if we're not creating those businesses, they're not being passed down. Every time an entrepreneur starts a business and their time is up and they're no longer here, that business usually goes with them. It dies down because it wasn't set up to be passed down the line to create those businesses that we see. When you see State Farm's 100 years old, you see all these businesses that are 75, 300 years old, 200 years old, the Fords, you know, how Rockefellers, those people set their businesses up to stay in their family. When you think about Ford, when you think about Rockefeller, when you think about Mayfield, all of those people set their family name up to be a business that can stay within their family, so that their family didn't have to think about how they are going to survive. That's how we need to open up our minds to think that same way to get continued growth. One of the major needs that we really do need is, because of course supporting black business, of course putting your money into black business owners' hands is going to be a small stepping stone to getting the black dollar to circulate more. But what we really need is black banks. We need black institutions, because this is going to have to be an institutional progress to really make big leaps, big stepping stones to get us to where we need to be. We need venture capitalism that's going to help fund black businesses, you know, put operating dollars in the black business owners' hands for residential, this the normal consumer. We need black banks that will help black people get approved for mortgages without situations of redlining, without, you know, not appraising homes for the right level. These are the institutional things that we need in place. Doing my research, you know, we've got a bank here in Atlanta, that Citizens National Bank, that's a black owned bank, so big kudos to them. Let me pull them up right quick just to look at their board. But we got Citizens National Bank, and we also have one that Killer Mike is working on right now called Greenwood Bank.
Founded in 1906, built directly from the intelligence and discipline of black dreamers. Looking to create a safe, productive, self-sufficient society, looking for real freedom.
These are stepping stones that we need in order to move our race forward. We need to keep that dollar circulating.
Most people who get rich don't get rich in a lifetime. Most people are intergenerational wealth.
Another way that is very easy for us as African Americans to create generational wealth, you all, is life insurance. Life insurance, simple. You hear it all the time. You probably pass on it, say I don't need it, but let's just talk about that. We're gonna make another video down the line that really goes into depth about life insurance and how it creates generational wealth.
Because what I'm learning with a lot of these white folk, a lot of them are getting their first shock of wealth through the life insurance policy of their parents.
But for this video, just to touch on it, think about this. You can get your life insurance plan for $20, $50, $100 a month, depending on the size plan that you get. And then they say life insurance is for loved ones, but it can also be for you too as well, because with life insurance, there also are ways that you can have cash in it that you can pull from and still have that life insurance active. But think about it this way. Think about you as a father or a mother have a life insurance plan for $500,000, $1 million. Who knows what you have put in place? Just depends on your agent that you're working with and what you set up. When you go on to the next transition in life to go with the Lord, then next thing you know, your family's now receiving a check for $500,000, $250,000, $1 million. That life insurance plan will set your family up to reinvest that money to create a generational wealth, to create something for their family, for your family at that time, to what they can do to continue to get to the next level, to get ahead.
And I think we have to become more strategic in the way that we do our health plans as well as our life insurance plans.
So I just want you guys to think about that. You know, when we talk about the steps that we need to put in place to really push the black dollar forward, we're already spending $1 trillion a year, you guys, going to other races. When we look at the Asians, a lot of times we feel like we're doing something wrong by going out and not spending our dollar, or we're like, well, I gotta spend my money with him, or I need to do this because this is the right thing, or I need to buy this because this is what's cool, I need to wear this because this is what I'll be accepted for. The Asians don't care. They're circulating their dollar at a way higher frequency that we are. We're so caught up on impressing and trying to show that we've made it that we're not even looking at what we're really doing. I always notice when I would see like successful white men just driving a Jeep Grand Cherokee, living in a nice house. But you know, it's like they're not even trying to be flashy because all their money's in stocks, portfolios, you know, their EFTs, retirement funds, S&Ps, all of that. But for black people, we feel like as soon as I get it, I gotta get that car. As soon as I get it, I gotta get that chain. As soon as I get the money, I gotta let these people know that, you know, I'm not broke. And that's something that we really need to consider of how we use our money, because obviously other races, you know, institutions, the people above, the people that are doing the world like this a puppet.
I have everything and you have nothing.
They see what we have to offer. Even inside of when we look at redlining from back in the day when they were not letting black people, African Americans live in certain neighborhoods, the only reason they opened it up is because when they had their meeting, they said redlining is not profitable. Black people have too much money to spend for us not to be accepting that money. So that's food for thought to think about, you guys. Let's just take an extra consideration of how we're spending our money, what we're doing, but ultimately let's focus on creating more businesses in our community. I want you guys to check out my book Entrepreneurship Unlocked, because I think the biggest thing is education on how to start a business, how to get there. So I'm gonna link that in the description below. Check that out. If you can't afford it, reach out to me. I'll make sure that you can get that book in your hand, because education is the key of how we can move forward, how we can increase the black dollar and increase our buying power so that not only is just spent, but it also circulates. My name is Tony, you all. I'll see you guys in the next lesson. Remember, like, subscribe, share this. This is a creation of a conversation starter. Put in the comments what you think about this, what else you guys want to hear. Let's get this conversation going. I'll see you guys in the next lesson.